This is a video showing how to assemble a 10x10 shed frame kit. This is a bundle. The way that the kit is delivered, it's bundled together, all the pieces and the bolts to put it together. This is how it will arrive. So the first step is to cut the bands that are holding it together. I've already cut all the bands except for the last one here. When you cut the last band, you want to be careful that the angle iron doesn't fall down and pinch your fingers or come undone. Just be aware of it. You can see we cut the last band. The angle iron is stacked on top, and the first thing to do is to take these pieces on the top and put them down so they don't fall down and smash your fingers. And then on the back side, there's two angles on top also that are the same way. You want to put those down, and you can see the bolt kit. It has all the bolts and screws to assemble it. It's in the middle. You can now take that out of there. Okay, so we've laid out the top pieces that were on top of the kit. Two on each side. Those are going to be the bottom ones, the bottom horizontal pieces of the shed. So we're going to use those first. You can leave the rest of it together like this for now. So our next step is to lay these four angle pieces out for the bottom of the shed. Okay, now we've laid out the four pieces on the ground where we're going to assemble the shed. And we just lay them out end to end roughly. Doesn't matter which one goes where, they're all the same. It helps if you have some wooden blocks to build the shed on so you can get your wrench underneath to do the nuts. Makes it go a little easier. I'm using some 4-inch blocks, one in each corner. It'll help support it. So the next pieces that we need are the upright pieces. These are in the middle of your shed kit. And you'll notice that one end, they're sloped for the roof slope. So they're not quite straight. It's important to get those on the top. The bottom ones are straight, and they're marked with a crayon, B for bottom, on each one, so you can get the right one. Those will go down against the ground to start with. Two of them are 7 feet long. That'll be the back of the shed, and two of them are 8 feet long. That'll be the front of the shed. Okay, I've laid out the corner pieces, the uprights. That'll be the first step to put the frame together. I've got the two 7-foot pieces are in the back. This will be my front. That's the 8-foot pieces. It's important to get them in the right spot. They have a slope for the roof on the top of them. This is a 8-foot one that goes in the front, and you can see the slope. The slope will slope down towards the 7-footers in the back of the shed. Put your square this way, you can see that it's square. It only slopes on one side. The 7-footers in the back of the shed are just the opposite. They slope up towards the 8-footers, towards the front of the shed. If you don't have a square, you could use a sheet of paper or a piece of cardboard that is square and just hold it in there to help you see the slope if you can't see it with your eye. A lot of times you can just look at it and see it. The tools we're going to need to put this phase of the shed together are a wrench and a ratchet. This what I'm using. These are 9/16 to put the 3/8 bolts in. Also, a lineup tool maybe is handy. You could use a screwdriver if you don't have a bar with a point on it. The bolts we'll be using for most of the shed assembly in the bolt kit that comes with it are a 1-inch 3/8 bolt with a nut. So you could separate those out and get them ready. And we'll start assembling here by putting an upright in position. It helps to have two people to do this. One person can do it. I'm going to do it by myself to show you that how it works with one person. Okay, to put our upright on, we're going to get 2 bolts. We're going to stick them through the bottom plate, wrong way, like this, from the bottom up. Then we're going to stand it up onto the block against the bolts to hold them. Then we'll pick up our angle and put it on the bolts. We have to hold the upright piece with one hand, so it's a little bit awkward, but it's not too bad to do. Now we'll stand up our block with the bolts on it. Now we got them standing up, holding it with our left hand, and we pick up our angle with the other hand, and put it on top of the bolts, and we put our nuts on. And we do the same with the other angle. Oops. Sometimes it's a little hard to hold everything. That one. And we got one more bolt to put in here. Zipper off a little bit. It helps if you can push the corner piece to the side a little to put the bolt in a bind so it'll stay there until you can get a nut on it. Okay. Now that we've got all 4 of them on fairly tight, we can let go of the upright and it'll stay, so we can use both hands to snug up our bolts. The bolts don't need to be very tight at this point to snug them up. We'll tighten them later in case we need to move it a little bit to line up the other corners. Okay, so there's one corner. And now we'll do the other 3 the same way. This is the other front corner with the 8-foot piece. Stand it up. back corner with the 7-foot upright piece. Tilt it back so we can get our bolt in there. Set it down in the wood to hold the bolt. Pick up our angle. To hold that bolt in there so we can get our nut on it. There we go. Then we're ready for the other one. Be a little bit harder. So do the same thing, tilt it back, slide it, get your bolt in, then put it on the board. Stand it up, pick up your angle. Oops, I lost my bolt. There we go. Takes care of that corner. Here we are doing the 8-foot upright in the front corner. Get my bolts in there. Get one in the corner. Set it on the block. Put my angle on top of it. There we go. Nut on it. Get the other bolt back here. There's the side of it. Now the 8-foot in the front are a little bit different. This is the opening of the shed. This piece is going to point down instead of up like the rest of them. Then this will be the opening. There'll be nothing to trip over. And they'll dig a little slot in the ground for this to go down in. It makes a nice flush fit when you're all done. So we'll put this underneath the plate this time instead of on top of it. Oops, we've got all 4 of our uprights bolted on now. And we got the bottom piece in the front pointed down towards the ground. The other 3 are pointed up, as you can see. You want to look at your top and make sure that your plates are sloped the right way. These back ones will slope towards the front, up. And the front ones will slope down towards the back ones. You can stand back a ways and you can see that they're matching each other. Our next step is to put the horizontal pieces on the top, connecting the uprights. So to do that, they go underneath. Here's a piece of angle that I have for demonstration. It'll go underneath like that. The trick by yourself to hold one end while you put this end up is to set it on top first, so you can let go of it, and that'll hold the other end. And then you can grab one end, pull it around, stick it underneath, and put the bolts in it. It's not too bad to do. The back ones are lower where you can reach them. The front ones you have to use a ladder, so it's a little bit harder, but not too bad. Just do it easy and make sure you don't wiggle it so the end falls off and you drop it. Set one end on top, the other corner, and that'll hold it. And then this end, I've got a block here to stand on that helps a little bit. Now the bolts will go down from the top, like that. Here's a closer look at putting these horizontal pieces on the top. You can see that we have the nuts on the bottom. That makes it better for the roof when you put it on, so the bolt isn't sticking up. All the horizontal pieces are interchangeable. These top ones could be on the bottom, and the bottom ones will fit on the top. They're all drilled, so you can't go wrong with it. Our next step, after we've got all the horizontal pieces on the top are to put the square tubings on the top. They're going to fasten into these holes that are in the angle with a 3/8 bolt. In the bolt kit you'll find a longer bolt that is 2 3/4 inches long. That's what we're going to use for these roof tubings. It goes through the hole in the end. And these roof tubings go underneath the angle up on top. To do this by myself, I've got a ladder on one side, and I'll set the tubing on top of the ladder, and then I'll be able to put the bolt in the other end. For the next two. This is another way to do it if you don't want to use your ladder on that side. You can set the tubing up on top of the angle and then do this end. Be careful to not pull it too far so it falls off the angle there. It's not as safe as using a ladder over there. But if you're careful, you can do it. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to line up the bolt. Kind of awkward. Okay, there's that end. Now we can move our ladder over and do the other side without too much trouble. Get the tubing underneath, just pull it to one side or another, and you'll be able to go underneath the angle, and then come back to where your hole is. There we go, that one lined up a little better. Okay, now we've got all of our steel erected except for the side pieces. Here's a quick look at the header that we just did with better detail. Won't be right into the sun. So you can see it goes behind the upright piece. So we've got our roof tubings in, all of them. Our next step is to put the flat straps that we have here. They'll go on the sides, halfway up. And that's where the 3/8 bolt also. There's a 1-inch hole right here where that'll go. Okay, now we've got our flat straps all the way around the 3 sides. So that takes care of all the steel in the kit. You can see we've got them bolted on the outside. The slot helps to adjust it if your frame isn't square and you need to work a little bit one way or the other. So our next step is to start on the wood. We'll put the wood siding on next.